Have you ever felt like, even when surrounded by your loved ones, you are still completely alone? Have you ever wondered how to hold on to love when everything around you seems determined to take it away? Today, I will tell you an ancient yet timeless story, a journey of suffering, faith, and miracles. The Wild Swans. Once upon a time, there was a king who ruled over a prosperous land. He had a kind-hearted queen, 11 princes, and a beautiful youngest daughter named Elisa. Sadly, the queen passed away early, leaving behind a void that nothing could ever fill in her children's hearts. The king, wishing to find someone who could care for the royal family, decided to marry again. The new queen was intelligent and strikingly beautiful, but her heart was cold and filled with jealousy. From the moment she stepped into the palace, she was consumed by envy toward the love the king and the court held for the royal children. Using dark magic, she turned the 11 princes into pure white swans. At sunrise, they would fly away with the wild geese, and when sunset came, they would return to their human forms, but only for a fleeting moment. As for little Elisa, being too young to defend herself, she was sent away from the palace and raised in a faraway countryside. Elisa grew up with an unending ache in her heart, missing her father and brothers deeply. Though separated from them, she never stopped believing that her family still existed somewhere out there, that her brothers were still alive. When she turned 15, Elisa was brought back to the royal palace. But the stepmother, afraid that her dark secret would be uncovered, schemed to get rid of her. With poison and wicked spells, she made Elisa's face so hideous that even her own father could no longer recognize her. Cast out of the palace, Elisa wandered through the land with nowhere to go. Yet, deep in the forest, fate reunited her with the swans, her beloved brothers. Under the golden light of sunset, the 11 young men emerged from their wide wings. The sight was so overwhelming that Elisa burst into tears of joy. Her brothers told Elisa about the curse. During the day, they were forced to live as swans, and only when the sun set could they return to human form. To free them, there was only one way. Elisa had to remain completely silent and weave 11 shirts made from stinging nettles that grew in graveyards. If she spoke a single word, even a cry, the magic would be broken and her brothers would be trapped as swans forever. It was a task that seemed impossible. But Elisa did not hesitate. Without uttering a sound, she stepped into the graveyard, gathered the burning nettles that stung her skin, and with blistered, bleeding hands, patiently spun each fiber into thread. One day, while gathering stinging nettles, Elisa was discovered by the soldiers of another king. They brought her back to the royal palace. The king was immediately captivated by her pure beauty and gentle spirit, and before long, he asked for her hand in marriage. Yet Elisa remained completely silent, unable to explain the truth. People began to whisper, how could such a beautiful girl say nothing at all? Could she be a witch? The old queen mother and envious courtiers seized the chance to sow suspicion, accusing Elisa of using dark magic. The king, blinded by love, trusted her. But the people were furious. When Elisa continued to gather nettles in the graveyard under the cover of night, their fears deepened. They were convinced she was consorting with demons. In the end, the verdict was passed. Elisa was sentenced to death by fire. The day of execution arrived. Elisa carried with her the 11 shirts she had nearly finished, clutching them tightly in her arms. The fire roared, and the crowd shouted in anger. But just then, from the distant sky, the flock of pure white swans appeared, their wings glistening in the sunlight. Elisa threw the nettle shirts over her brothers one by one. With each shirt, a pair of wings vanished, and a young man stood in its place. The last shirt was unfinished. The youngest brother's arm remained that of a white swan's wing. But it no longer mattered. The curse was broken. Elisa collapsed, and for the first time she spoke. "My brothers, you are saved." The crowd stood in stunned silence. Their hatred turned into awe. The king finally understood everything and rushed forward to lift her from the flames. Elisa and her brothers returned home in the joy of reunion. The king, now understanding her unwavering faith and kindness, made Elisa his queen. As for the wicked stepmother, she received the punishment she deserved. But above all, this story leaves behind a message not only for royalty, but for all of us. True love never disappears, even when it is separated, changed, or buried beneath hatred. Silent sacrifice sometimes holds more power than 1,000 words. Elisa remained quiet, endured pain, and even faced death, all for the sake of those she loved. Steadfast faith can guide us through doubt, slander, and the fires of life. And the ultimate truth: goodness may be tested, but it can never be destroyed. Ending, a message for the listener. When you feel lonely amid all the injustice around you, remember Elisa, the girl who dared to stay silent in the storm just to protect her love. In our lives, each of us has our own flock of wild swans waiting to be freed. It might be your family, your dreams, or your wounded heart. As long as you hold on to faith and perseverance, one day you will see those white wings soaring across the sky of freedom.